Hey there, everyone. It's super late, so I'm pretty sure everybody is asleep. Just so I'm not even gonna wait too long. I'll put my CashApp here for later. Hey! Today we don't have a reading. We have a lecture of sorts, I suppose. This is called Currency is the Goddess. So this is going to be more about manifestation and using the feminine energy for your manifestation. All right, that. Hey, what's up, y'all? What's up? Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. So I was watching a lecture, or like a conversation, I suppose. This is not really, that's why I have all my notes here. I have like 2 pages of notes. We're going to get into the suppression of the divine feminine and the goddess energy. And we're also going to talk about where the suppression of that actually shows up in the Bible. And in certain aspects, we're going to talk about the symbolism of the fig tree. And then I'm going to get into the goddess Juno, which is a Roman goddess, and the Greek Roman gods and goddesses sort of go back and forth, and how the lessons of this goddess and who she was associated with actually is giving us a blueprint into how we can manifest more abundantly. So that's why I named this Currency is the Goddess, Sacred Wisdom. Because truly currency is the goddess, and it seems that so many have lost sight of this, and I really want to bring awareness around that goddess energy, and I want to bring awareness around women waking up to their goddesshood. First and foremost was the goddess. Before there was ever a masculine energy, there was always a goddess energy that came first. Now we know, hey, what's up? We know from in Gnosticism, Sophia, really the whole beef in Gnosticism was that Yaldabaoth wanted to be the Most High, but he could not. And truly, Sophia was the Most High, and this is our great mother. This is what they call the creatrix. This is what we call the divine feminine, and every woman, every goddess is interconnected. So all the goddesses have aspects of each other within one another. So first we want to talk about this this term, the Queen of Heaven. So this term does show up in the Bible, and I am going to say some stuff from Jeremiah 44, chapter 44, verse 15 through 18, and then I'm going to kind of break down who the Queen of Heaven is. And the Queen of Heaven, honestly, is almost all goddesses. That's like she is Isis, for example, and Isis is known as the goddess of many names, because as goddesses, we all take on aspects of each other, and we are really the initiators of a lot of things. So and I want to talk about the deception, because this deception is really what has put the goddess to sleep. So just as men or the priests are supposed to be the stewards of this information, the goddess is the information. She's the key. She's the wisdom. That's why even in New York, they'll call, back in the day slang, right? You will call your goddess your wisdom. Okay, so I'm going to get into it. So it says Jeremiah 44, 15 through 18. Then all the men who knew their wives had made offerings to other gods, and all the women who stood by, a great assembly, all the people who lived in Pathros, in the land of Egypt, answered Jeremiah, as for the word you have spoken to us in the name of the Lord, we will not listen to you. But we will do everything we have vowed, making offerings to the Queen of Heaven, pour out drink offerings to her as we did, both we and our fathers, our kings and our officials, in the cities of Judah. And Judah is the lion. So Judah is truly the protector of the woman. in the streets of Jerusalem. And I didn't decode Jerusalem, but I was noticing that Salem is on the end of that. So maybe Jerusalem is interconnected with the witches. For then we had plenty of food and prospered and saw no disaster. But since we left off making offerings to the Queen of Heaven and pouring out drink offerings to her, we have lacked everything and have been consumed by the sword and by famine. So as I read further into this, basically and what it was too, like the wives didn't care. Like they were like, screw our husbands, we're gonna do what the fuck we want to do. Actually, I want to spray some rose water too for the energy. They kind of were like, we're going to do what we know works. We're going to tap in with our divine feminine energy. I say, you are the line of Judah. So the women were like, we're going to tap into our divine feminine energy and we're going to stick with that primordial essence, which is the feminine. So these people that came in the name of this Lord or this false god or this son of the mother, really over and over again in the Bible, we see the defilement and the jealousy that's perpetrated against the feminine. So I just want to make people aware of this. Whether they get mad or not, I don't care. It's really about the information. So now these are some of the names of the Queen of Heaven. Juno, which we're going to talk about today. Virgin Mary. So you see how they took the energy and it's still the mother, but it's like she's put in her place. And you don't really hear that much about Mary other than that, oh, well, she had Jesus. And it really takes the whole process of creation and brings it to sort of a lower level, because to create a child, if you are a woman that is in your goddesshood and you know who you are, you can truly manifest anything into this reality, and you can bring down through your womb very powerful divine beings. But when we don't know what we do, we allow anything in. The woman in her womb can contain the power of a star. The woman in her womb can contain the power of a supernova if she chooses. And you can truly, when you are enlightened and when your frequency is high and when you're vibrating high, you can bring that within you and then birth it out into the world. Is that not a miracle? So these are some of the other names of the Queen of Heaven. So we have Juno, Virgin Mary, once again, like I said before, Isis, also Ishtar, Astarte, Asherah, Hera, Ina, Venus, Dumu, and I think that is from Chinese mythology, Nut, Diana. So essentially, all goddesses take on aspects of the Queen of Heaven. For example, like I said before, Isis is the goddess of 1,000 names. So I want to get into, before I get into how these energies truly line up, I want to get into the symbology of the fig tree, because that goes back to the Garden of Eden and Adam and Eve. And then you had the tree of life, and then you had the tree of knowledge. But life is truly a death. And it's the true death, because it's like you're taking an infinite, divine, endless being and then putting constraints on them. So that's more of a Saturn sort of energy. But the reason why we do this to ourselves is so that we can come into a new consciousness about ourselves, so that we can know who we are. So sometimes the restrictions that you're putting on yourself in your life is really to teach you a lesson, and we teach these lessons to ourselves. So the fig tree is a symbol of immortality, abundance, fertility, also called the world tree that links earth to heaven. This is also feminine sexual forces. And this was demonized in the Bible. The fig tree is actually the tree of knowledge, and the tree of life was actually the olive tree. So this was pretty interesting. And when I started decoding and putting things together, I really found out something amazing. And what I found out was Well, let me start with this Bible verse, and then I'm going to, I'm going to start with the Garden of Eden, because it's really going to take things to the next level, and then we'll get into the defilement of the feminine, because we have to get these energies in a line first before we can talk about actually using the feminine energy to manifest. So in the Bible, in the Garden of Eden, right, Eve was the one. Now we know the first wife of Adam is Lilith, and she was in her goddesshood, in that she wouldn't submit to a man. Like, I will not be beneath you. She knows that she's a divine being, and essentially the God, Yaldabaoth, Yahweh, Jehovah, trapped her in a physical body, but she's still a primordial being in a physical body. And she's like, no, I don't think so. I'm not going to be subjected to you. And that's what happens when women are in their goddesshood. She's like, I'm not going to be subject to anyone. We'll create our own boundaries. And like, even marriage is really a form of slavery. When you get married, back in the day, and this is something that Savon had mentioned in his recent conversation. So definitely check out the YouTube channel, Understanding. It's a great resource for a lot of this esoteric adept information. So what ended up happening was that, where was I? I hate when that happens, because I was on a point and then I got diverted. So okay, so we were at Lilith. So Lilith really knew who she was, and and we were at marriage. Marriage is a form of bondage for the woman. Back in the day, men would pay a dowry to the father in order to buy their daughter. So when we look at it this way, it's like the woman's energy is almost being used against her, because the currency, money, that feminine energy that creates that abundance is being used for to then trap other women. So then we have Eve, and Eve and Adam didn't know themselves, right? And this is such a beautiful story, actually. Now that I know what it really means, it's a beautiful story. So what happened was that Kundalini energy, right? The serpent was really Eve's Kundalini energy rising. And when she ate from the tree of knowledge, the fig tree, right? The fig tree is that pure feminine energy. So she's going to come to a space of knowing herself. So when Eve ate from the tree of knowledge, her eyes were opened. Her eye was opened. So now she was aware of who she was. So now she's becoming like Lilith. She's like, hold up. I'm not going to sit here and be subject. But she was more compassionate. But she was like, I'm not going to sit here and be subject to this God. Fuck this. Like, I know who I am now. So the reason why then Eve gave the knowledge, and this is how women do. This is why your wife, your woman is really your master teacher to a certain extent. This is why women are the master teachers. Like, for me to start being more confident in my teaching, because I dealt with a lot of men that would try and suppress my energy, or that were very jealous of me. I had to listen to a woman, and it was a woman teacher that I was watching her. She was from back in the day. I was watching one of her videos on YouTube, and she was like, I am a woman. I birth both male and female. Therefore, I have the authority to teach all. And I was like, yo, I needed that. I needed to know that it's not wrong to teach men and women. And that's why with my clients, it's very balanced. I work with both men and women, because I'm the mother. These are like teaching my children. These are like helping my people. You know what I mean? So when someone comes into your life and they try to suppress that energy, you're really going to want to sort of separate yourself from them, because they have an insecurity, or some sort of insecurity, something within themselves, that they're actually like low-key jealous of you, or they really feel like they've been their own feminine, even if it's a masculine, their own feminine energy is being suppressed, and they don't really have the confidence to step out on their own. So So where was I? So when Eve became awoken, she had more compassion than Lilith. So this is like a more mature feminine energy, and she gave the knowledge to her man, and they left the garden. I don't think anybody kicked them out. I think they actually left because they found out that this God that used to come in and talk to them and stuff was essentially lying to them. Okay, so now I got into Mark chapter 2:13, and this is the story of the fig tree. This is when Jesus went into the money changers and messed up. She says some mirrors don't reflect, and messed up, threw their shit over. So what are you doing? Whatever. Like, he was pissed off. It's like the one time you see him mad. But the minor story of the fig tree is interesting, and I'm not going to say this whole thing. We're only going to talk about a little bit of it, because remember, the fig tree, the Bible had so much symbolism with the feminine, like you wouldn't know the deception of it unless you really got into this information. So it says, and seeing the fig tree afar off, having leaves, he came, if haply he might find anything thereon. And when he came to it, he found nothing but leaves, for the time of the figs was not yet. Then the money changer thing happened, and then the next day, the tree had died. So at this time, the feminine was being so suppressed that woman didn't know herself, therefore she couldn't bear fruit. So a barren fig tree, and the next day when they see the fig tree is shriveled up and it's totally dead, a barren fig tree is useless. So a woman who doesn't know herself is sort of useless, because you can't get any knowledge and information from her. She doesn't even know who she is. So it's the man's duty to sort of lead the woman or come into the woman's life to hold space so that the woman can truly start to know herself. It's really, really, really very important that the man doesn't try and take on the position of the woman. And I mean outer and inner. In your inner energies, if you are male or female, what you're going to want to do is make your masculine energy, even though that's the energy that goes out, that's the forefront. I'm using my masculine energy to speak to you right now, right? You want to make the masculine energy what's up, Ricky? Peace. Subject to the feminine energy. So that's like, okay, for example, in manifestation, you would want to go into a meditation and get your energy right within before you go out and actually take action in the world. If you're not listening to your intuition, to your moon, to your feminine energy, the masculine energy is not going to be executed in the proper way. So this is how you can start realigning your energies for greater manifestation. Okay, so now we're going to get into our Greco-Roman stuff. And I look at all this stuff as symbols. So I know that this comes from older texts, and we sort of have to, she said, whoa, I'm getting smacked. And we sort of have to like decode even these texts and learn from everything, all occultism, mythology, everything, decode everything, because everything has bits and pieces of the truth. And then you're going to figure out, and this is how I started being able to manifest a lot faster. I went from a point that I couldn't barely feed myself to a point that I don't really have issues with money anymore, and I'm still growing in that. So Juno, connected with all aspects of life, believed to be the savior of women. So as the savior of women, she actually became the savior of the state. So she's the daughter of Saturn and Opus. Saturn representing, and I didn't get too deep into these energies because this is just basically like the journey of Juno. So being the daughter of Saturn, right? You take this beautiful feminine energy and we're learning now how to create order with the chaos, right? So this is representing order and discipline. Opus, feminine energy, representing fertility, opportunity, moon symbolism, intuition, right? Nurturing, abundance. So we're taking that energy and we're giving it order. And we will be doing this alchemy within ourselves in order for us to manifest more effectively. So she is the wife of Jupiter. Now, the first thing that came to mind was that Jupiter is luck without wisdom, when the feminine is really not there. So that would be like dumb luck. I was like, that's why we say dumb luck, because Jupiter is the planet of luck. But when you can't maintain that luck or that good fortune if you don't have any wisdom. So Jupiter without wisdom is dumb luck. So Minerva was the daughter of Jupiter. He swallowed her mother, and this one is Metis, which was a Titaness. So I'm gonna get this was pretty exciting for me. So Metis is a Titaness, so that represents the divine, feminine, very primordial energies. So when Jupiter swallowed Metis, and this was more Greco-Roman, you have to read both of them in order to get the full story. He had to swallow the primordial energy of the feminine. He had to nourish himself with the feminine, and then inside of him, that feminine energy created the daughter Minerva from inside of him, right? And then it says that he was getting headaches, his ear was ringing, he was just, and this is again another allegory for your Kundalini energy awakening within you. And then Minerva, he said he had Vulcan hit his head, and Minerva came out of his third eye. So Minerva came out of his third eye. That is representation of him gaining wisdom, enlightenment. This is a form of alchemy. This is taking in that primordial feminine energy and really digesting it and understanding it within yourself, so that then you can have enlightenment and wisdom. And Minerva represents wisdom. She also is attributed to Athena as well in Greek stuff. Okay. So then we have Juno also being... My crown started spinning out of the blue. I'm so glad you're here, sis, and you're getting this goddess, this is like a goddess workshop for real. So Juno ends up being the mother of Mars as well. So Mars also synonymous with Aries, the god of war. But war isn't really their main function. War is almost like a degradation of the energy. It's more of a protective, it's more of a protective energy, right? So this is representing passion, action, inspired action, willpower. Aries, the initiator, the protector. Okay. So now as we go through our own manifestation journey, right? If we take this Juno energy and begin to really, my ears are hot. My Kundalini's up right now too. So as we go through our manifestation journey and we begin to use the Juno story and the Juno energy and create that form of alchemy within ourselves, we can see how we can manifest more effectively and how we can bring everything into our life faster. So we take so what you need to feel within yourself first, right, is the mother energy. The mother energy needs nothing and has everything. She is abundance. She is wealth. She is nourishing. She is the queen of heaven, right? So she's going to be that great mother sort of energy, and we need to feel that within ourselves. This is going within first. This isn't going to be you looking for what is without. Like, you're not going to be looking around you. You're going to want to get rid of any feelings of anxiety or panic and go within and feel the abundance that already exists within you. So as we're feeling that abundance that already exists within us, right? Opus representing, this is the mother, fertility, opportunity, moon. So that's going to be connected with the intuition. Then as we have that within us, we're going to start having more discipline. So we take that energy and then we start adding order and structure behind it. And I'm nosy. We start adding order and structure behind it, that feminine energy, and we create a discipline of feeling that feminine energy within us. We can now create avenues, right, for that abundance to flow to us. We can now start to see all possibilities and all opportunities, and aware in our lives that we can create structures in order to bring more abundance to us. So when we look at the wife of Jupiter allegory, right? So now people think that, oh, well, you're just lucky. Oh, well, you're just a lucky person or whatever, but that's not a thing. If you want to continue to manifest luck into your reality, if you want to continue to manifest that, then it's really about getting into the wisdom and cultivating your wisdom so that it's more of a cycle. And then this wisdom you're going to get from consuming that feminine energy. And that's once again dealing with a more primordial energy. Whew. So let's see. And I think the reason why Juno really became the wife of Jupiter is because of that nourishing energy, is because of that really feminine energy. And it was actually, it's funny because it was a whole different wife that whole thing happened with. So Jupiter even had to grow up, and Jupiter really had to even grow in their own energy. So then we have her as the mother of Mars. Okay, well, I'll have it on my YouTube too, but we'll see it. Get some rest. So then we have her as the mother of Mars. So now that we gained our wisdom, now that we rectified any energies of anxiety, of feelings of lack, scarcity, now that we can feel that abundance within us, now that we have more wisdom and how to move in the world, now that we're tapped into our inner guiding system and our intuition, then we can start moving with inspired action. And this is why Juno is the mother of Mars, right? We don't have dumb luck anymore. Our life is filled with luck and miracles and opportunities, right? So now that we have those structures and those avenues in place to create, to bring a flow and have magnetism and bring a flow of more abundance to us, then we birth the inspired action. And this is the point in your journey where you've already started really manifesting with magnetism and bringing things in. This is the point where you do. And you'll notice sometimes that the energy will go back and forth. So even while you are manifesting, there's going to be times where you're like, okay, when you follow your intuition, you're going to be like, okay, I can't freak out about my money right now. I can't freak out about what's going on. I have to go within. I'm feeling something from spirit to go within. I don't want to go within. I'm anxious. I have anxiety, whatever. But you know what? It's time for me to go within and get these messages and figure out what my next step is. I need to connect in with spirit first, connecting with my higher self first, so that I can move with inspired action. So that's really and then it's interesting because it is like a back and forth energy, and we really would need to learn to trust our higher selves. So this is willpower, this is initiation, this is protector. So this is also going to represent protecting your own energy. So this is also going to represent a measure of discernment, which we did learn in the Jupiter energy discernment, because we gained our wisdom there. And isn't it lucky to gain wisdom? Okay, so there's some just some other stuff I want to talk about before I close out, because this isn't going to be long. It's just what I want to talk about today. So Juno, there's a festival called Matronalia that which was celebrated before the summer solstice. So this is more symbolism. Connected with the mother goddess, and it's said that, now this is some people say one thing, some people say another thing, but they say that it was only women that went to these festivals. So the woman would really get in line with their own. And the matronalia was the pantheon of all the goddesses, really. And it's funny because when you read different texts, they'll say, oh, this goddess was celebrated here, oh, this goddess was celebrated here, and then the more you read, you're like, all the goddesses were celebrated there. And all the women would bring more abundance into their homes and into their lives. Salute to your soul for delivering. All the women would bring more abundance into the lives of themselves, their families, by giving their offerings and stuff and exchanging energy with the goddesses. And it's funny because this is also connected in with the Venus energy, because it happened right before the summer solstice. So Venus is the light bearer, right? Venus is the morning star. Remember, we did I did that whole blog post about the Venus Lucifer connection, the morning star connection. So this is an initiator sort of energy, and she's really clearing the way so that the sun could truly shine. So it's like, it's even cosmically, it's getting in alignment with the feminine first, in order that the masculine can execute at its full capacity. This is an alchemical process that's even happening within ourselves. Let's see. Venus. I should prepare the way. So this was inner, outer. This was magnetism in action. And matronalia is also connected with the fig tree. So that's our sacred feminine coming through again. I was looking a little bit about Aurora as well, and she's connected with the goddess, this indigenous goddess called Mater Matata or something like that. Matata, I want to say. Mater Matata. So this is also telling you that all matter is feminine. Everything in the physical is feminine, because where do you think the word matter comes from? More likely than not, comes from this goddess Aurora. So this is connected with Venus as well, and also considered a light bearer. Let me see, because I think I have some notes on this side. Oh, this is a funny saying too. This is just like random stuff that I thought was cool. And this is the last part, and then we'll have a dialogue. If anybody has any questions, you can put them in the chat. So they always say they say that the Greeks and the Romans used to say women have their Juno and men have their genius. So women have their fertility, their wisdom, and men have their genius, their inspiration, their passion. And it's such a beautiful like energy when you look at it this way, because nobody's looked at as less than the other. And like imagine being in a time where men actually recognize the energy of the feminine, and they really love their woman, they really love their feminine, because she was their inspiration. Like, how beautiful is that? Like, she was their goddess, she was their inspiration. So I just thought that was an interesting tidbit. Now, also the term money, this is interesting, because there was the Juno Montea. So this is where actually the term money comes from. So there was a Juno Montea temple on Arx that later happened to house the Roman mint, right? Money was derived from the name of this temple. So even what we're using today, and even what we call money today, is still a feminine currency. It's all feminine. It's crazy how we look at it, but it's all feminine. So I hope that this was helpful to you. I hope that it'll help you channel more feminine energy into your life, more goddess energy into your life, and I hope that it'll get you in line with what is going to really create a sense of abundance and wisdom and knowledge, and understanding that abundance is holistic. It's not this success thing that we've been taught. It's actually a more holistic energy that encompasses your entire reality. It's not just the money. It's experiences, it's relationships, it's travel, it's expansion. It encompasses everything in our lives and our reality. And I thank you for allowing me to deliver this message for you today. And I hope you take these principles and actually apply them to your life and see how it works for you. All right. You guys take care. We'll talk soon.